Yo, what's up agents, it's ZXRR here, bringing you back another build video. This is my PvP solo build, a high synergy build with a lot of damage and survivability. Without further ado, let's get into the build itself. So as you can see, I'm running the classic M1A, the Eagle Bearer and X45. I don't really use the Baker Dozen very much. It's kind of just a placeholder at the moment. It does work really good. It's still very strong even after the nerf, but it's just not something that I really like to use. The main gun that I do use is the Eagle Bearer here. It's very strong. You may see that it's level 30, but it does work in the level 40 DZ. It gets scaled up, and it works very well. It doesn't work in the light zone, but it works in the DZ conflicts, and I think that's it. It's very strong for the build itself because the up to 80% damage reduction is really strong, especially for being solo. It helps out a lot. This build is not the tankiest build, but not the squishiest. You need to put it in the middle when you're running solo because you need survivability, but you also need damage. In my opinion, the talent on this, as everyone should know, is the Eagle Strike. Accuracy increases as you continuously fire up to 30%. Headshot kills grant the tenacity buff for 15 seconds. The strength of tenacity is increased by 1% for body shots and 5% for headshots. The tenacity talent is 40 to 80% of damage taken is delayed until the buff expires. All of the total delayed damage is reduced for each enemy killed while the buff is active up to 100% with 3 kills. So I don't really get the debuff much, and the debuff doesn't really... It's killed me a couple of times, but it never really kills me. It's very good. I really enjoy using the Eagle Bearer. I was using the Pyromaniac in the video, but the Pyromaniac does not do enough damage when the target is not on fire. So when the person is not on fire, it just does not do enough damage. It's strong when they are on fire, but they're rarely like on fire. I'm using the firewall specialization also with this, just kind of for the burn duration and the medkit. I think it's best in slot, the medkit at the moment, and the fire duration kind of just helps me out with this build. Moving on to the gear itself, I'm using the Night Watcher mask. This is Gilligard, 150k armor, 100% pulse haste, 12% critical hit damage, and 4000 armor on kill. This is a very good mask for the build that I'm using at the moment because of the 100% pulse haste. So my pulse is basically always up. There's a split second when it's down, and that's literally just because I'm activating the pulse itself. So it's very strong to have, very good to have. Moving on to the chest piece, I have a Petrov. I'd much rather a Fenris chest piece here. I haven't been able to get one with spotter or with the attributes that I want. So this one is kind of just a placeholder for the moment. It has 9.6% weapon damage, 10% headshot damage, 12% skill haste, and 8.7% headshot damage with spotter. I'm using spotter because I use the pulse. This is not the best chest piece and not the chest piece that I want, but as I said, it's kind of just a placeholder at the moment. The same with this, the Murakami Industries holster. It's kind of just a placeholder. I do want the exotic Imperial Dynasty for the burn, but I haven't had any luck and I haven't been able to get it yet. This has 167k armor, 9.1 status effect, and 10.3% critical hit damage. Yeah, this is kind of just a placeholder at the moment. Not exactly what I want. Moving on to the backpack, we have the Anarchist's Cookbook. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. This has 10% status effects, 15% weapon damage, 7.5% status effects, 8.8% hazard protection, and 7% skill haste. This backpack comes with Perfectly Wicked, which is applying a status effect, increases total weapon damage by 18% for 27 seconds. This is very strong. 27 seconds in PvP is a long time, especially to have that extra weapon damage. Moving on, we have the Providence Defense Gloves. This has the 10% headshot damage, 10.3% weapon damage, max armor regeneration, and max headshot damage. As you can see, I'm going for a headshot damage kind of build here because of the Eagle Bearer's actual buff that it gives you. You need to get headshot kills, so I thought using headshots is probably best in slot here. I then have the Fox Prayer knee pads with 15% weapon damage, 15% damage to target out of cover, and 5.7 skill damage. These are the best knee pads in slot to have, in my opinion. I really don't think anything can outdo them damage-wise or talent-wise, just because of the 15% damage to target out of cover. It's very, very strong. Moving on to my skills, I'm using the Pulse and the Fire Sticky Bomb. The Pulse, as you can see, has 10.1 seconds of duration and 8.3 seconds of cooldown. So I literally have this up 100% of the time, so I'm always getting that spotter damage, which is really, really strong. You can see people through walls, and being solo, you really want to know where people are all the time, especially if you're fighting multiple people. You really want to know where they are at all times. It's very, very strong to know. And then have the Fire Sticky Bomb. The Fire Sticky Bomb is very, very good, especially if you use it in the right way. If you stand still and you aim in someone's general vicinity when you first equip it, it literally will just give you aimbot, and it's so easy to hit targets with. The cooldown is 50 seconds, which is quite long, but that's kind of the only downside. The duration is 14.3 seconds. That is the duration of the burn, which is really, really good, because that basically puts that person out of the fight for 15 seconds. And when you're fighting 3 people and you bring it down to 2, that's really, really strong. Also, if I had the exotic holster, that would put everyone basically out of the fight, which is really, really, really strong. My SHD watch is nothing special. I'm not sure if you guys want to know, but I've got the weapon damage, the total armor, skill repair, and stability. I've just kind of been trying to max those 4 things out. I feel like they're the best in slot at the moment. But yeah, that's basically it for the build itself. The stats on the build, I'm not running critical hit chance or damage really at all. I only have 10% chance and 62.3 damage. This is more of a headshot damage build, as you can see, 99.7%. And I do kind of just rely on the spotter's damage and the damage that I get from Perfectly Wicked, because that damage is a lot. If you plus it together, it's 15% and 18%. So that's what, 32? Something like 32? That's just quick math for me. 32%. That's a lot of extra damage that you're getting for basically doing nothing. So I don't really need crit chance or damage on this build. There's just a couple of pieces that I need. I thought I'd just bring it out. I was going to bring the build out when it was ready and when I had everything that I wanted, but a couple of people were asking to just bring the build out, so that's what I've just done here. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's build video. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below if there's anything you think that I should add or switch up to the build. And yeah, I'll see you agents in the next one.